41 minutes. Not 40, not 42. 41 minutes inside the home of an 84-year-old woman who lived alone in the Catalina foothills of Tucson, Arizona. 41 minutes documented by digital timestamps that cannot lie. 41 minutes captured by security camera systems with precision that human memory could never match. 41 minutes that would become the most analyzed period in an investigation that shocked the nation. But here is what investigators did not know for the first 8 days of this investigation. Here is what the security cameras could not tell them. Here is what would change everything when DNA results came back from that forensic lab in Florida. Those 41 minutes. They were not one man working slowly. They were not one person hesitating, searching, deciding what to do. According to what DNA evidence would prove, according to what forensic analysis would confirm, according to what would make Sheriff Chris Nanos realize this case was even more disturbing than he first believed. Those 41 minutes were two different men working together. Two DNA profiles, two biological signatures, two separate unknown males who thought wearing masks was enough, who thought gloves would protect them, who thought disabling cameras meant no evidence, who thought 41 minutes of careful planning would keep them safe. They were wrong, because DNA does not lie. Biology does not respect precautions. Sweat transfers through fabric. Contact leaves traces. And 41 minutes of two people existing in a space, moving through rooms, touching surfaces, breathing, sweating, existing, means twice the evidence, twice the biological material, twice the pathways to identification, twice the chance that genealogy databases will expose them. This is not a video about one suspect anymore. This is a video about two. And this is why, according to what the evidence now shows, those 41 minutes meant something investigators did not initially understand. It was not hesitation, it was coordination. It was not inefficiency, it was teamwork. It was not one person panicking, it was two people executing a plan. Before we examine what those 41 minutes revealed when DNA proved two men were involved, how forensic genealogy is building family trees for both suspects right now, why Walmart purchase records are closing in on both of them simultaneously, and what happens when you leave biological evidence that connects you to the disappearance of the mother of one of America's most recognizable television anchors? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. This case is developing by the hour. The science is getting closer by the day. And when identification comes, when genealogy produces names, when Walmart security footage connects faces to transactions, you need to be here to see it. Subscribe now. Nancy Ellen Guthrie, 84 years old, born January 27, 1942 in Fort Wright, Kentucky, a woman of faith, a grandmother, a mother who raised 3 children including Savannah Guthrie, co-anchor of NBC's Today Show, watched by millions every single morning. Nancy lived alone in Tucson, Arizona. She had for years, independent, strong-willed, managing her own life on her own terms, despite mobility limitations and chronic pain. She had a pacemaker. She took daily medications for blood pressure and heart conditions, medications she could not survive without, medications that would become one of the most disturbing pieces of evidence in this entire case. On the evening of January 31, 2026, Nancy had dinner at her daughter Annie's house. Cards, family time, normal. Her son-in-law drove her home at 9:45 p.m. The garage door closed at 9:50 p.m. And sometime in the hours that followed, while Nancy was alone in that house, while she slept in her bed, while darkness covered the Catalina foothills, 2 men approached her home. 2, not one desperate criminal making a terrible decision. 2 individuals who had planned this, who had coordinated this, who spent 41 minutes executing whatever they came there to do. The timeline is documented with precision that makes denial impossible. 1:47 a.m. The back camera at Nancy's property went offline. Not a glitch. Not a malfunction. Deliberately disabled. Someone knew that camera was there. Someone knew how to shut it down. Someone had planned their approach from the rear of the property where that camera would have captured them. 25 minutes passed. 25 minutes while that back camera stayed dark. 25 minutes during which someone, or multiple someones, as DNA would later prove, positioned themselves, prepared themselves, made sure their entry would not be documented. Then at 2:12 a.m., the front doorbell camera detected motion. Someone was at the front entrance. But before that camera could capture clear footage, before it could record faces or identifying details. Dark, disabled, covered, rendered useless for surveillance. But the motion detection had already registered. The software had already logged presence at that exact timestamp. They could hide their faces. They could not hide their existence. 16 more minutes passed. 16 minutes with both cameras offline. Both surveillance systems disabled. Nancy's residence effectively blind to what was occurring inside. Then at 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker stopped communicating. Her cardiac device, which had been transmitting data continuously, monitoring the electrical activity of her heart, ensuring her survival, silent. No more signals, no more communication. The device that kept an 84-year-old woman alive went offline at that precise moment documented by digital timestamp. 41 minutes total, from 1:47 when the back camera failed to 2:28 when the pacemaker went silent. 41 minutes during which two different men, as DNA would later establish, operated at locations connected to Nancy Guthrie's residence. Former homicide detective Ted Williams analyzed this timeline. His assessment was devastating. Burglars do not spend 41 minutes inside residences. Every additional minute is risk. Neighbors could hear noise. Patrol cars could drive by. Homeowners could return unexpectedly. Anything could go wrong. Professional criminals understand this viscerally. Get in, grab valuables, get out. But 41 minutes? That is not burglary. That is comfort. That is knowledge. That is operating with confidence that interruption will not occur. That is having time to be thorough, methodical, deliberate. And now we know why 41 minutes was possible for them. Because there were two people to disable cameras, two people to search the residence, two people to confront Nancy if necessary, two people to accomplish in 41 minutes what one person could not safely do. Two people who left DNA that forensic science is now using to hunt them down. Let me tell you about that DNA. Let me tell you about the evidence they thought they avoided by wearing masks and gloves. February 9th, 8 days after Nancy disappeared, investigators found a black glove approximately 2 miles from her home. The FBI examined that glove against doorbell camera footage captured before cameras went dark. Frame-by-frame analysis, material comparison, construction details, color, style. The conclusion stated in official FBI release, this glove appears to match the gloves worn by the masked suspect in surveillance video. That glove was sent to DNA Labs International in Florida. Preliminary results came back February 14th. Unknown male DNA. Not Nancy, not her family, not anyone in her known circle. Biological material from an unknown male concentrated in the interior lining where sweat and contact had transferred during use. 41 minutes of wearing those gloves. 41 minutes of sweating. 41 minutes of biological material soaking into fabric that he thought he had discarded safely 2 miles from the crime scene. He thought that glove was just trash he left in the desert. It was the thread that will unravel everything. But that was not the only DNA. Sheriff Chris Nanos confirmed it publicly. Investigators recovered DNA from inside Nancy's home, partial DNA from somewhere in her residence, and that DNA also belonged to an unknown male. Here is where this case exploded into something entirely different. Here is where investigators realized those 41 minutes meant something they had not initially understood. Those two DNA profiles, the one from the glove and the one from inside the home, do not match each other. Two separate individuals, two different men, both with no legitimate reason to be connected to Nancy Guthrie, both leaving biological evidence at locations tied to her disappearance. 2. Think about what that means. Really think about it. Someone wore gloves for 41 minutes trying to avoid fingerprints. Someone disabled cameras trying to avoid surveillance. Someone took precautions that showed awareness of forensic evidence. But the human body does not stop shedding DNA because you are committing a crime. Sweat transfers through gloves. Skin cells slough off with every movement. Saliva, breath, existence in a space for 41 minutes creates biological evidence that cannot be hidden. Now multiply that by two people. Two individuals operating for 41 minutes. Two sets of DNA being deposited. Two biological signatures being created that forensic science can analyze, compare, and use to build identifications from the ground up. The glove DNA was submitted to CODIS on February 17th. CODIS, the FBI's combined DNA index system. 19 million offender profiles, 6 million arrestee profiles, 1.45 million forensic profiles from unsolved crime scenes across America. The system compared that glove DNA against every single entry, and it returned nothing. No match, no name, no criminal history. The unknown male who wore that glove has never been arrested for a qualifying offense that would place his DNA in the federal database. For most investigations, that would be a dead end. A suspect with no criminal record, no way to identify him. But Sheriff Chris Nanos made something very clear when NBC News asked about the CODIS result. He said, and these are his exact words, "That's not the end. Now we start with genealogy and some of the partial DNA we have at the home." Genealogy, the same technique that identified the Golden State Killer after 4 decades of anonymity. The pathway that does not require the suspect to be in any criminal database. The method that needs only one thing: someone, somewhere in his extended family, who submitted DNA to a consumer genealogy service. And in 2026, the statistical probability that an American has at least one relative in a public genealogy database is extraordinarily high. Millions of people have done 23andMe. Millions have submitted to Ancestry.com. Millions wanted to learn about their family history, trace their roots, discover their ethnic background. And those millions of innocent genealogy tests are now the weapon that will expose 2 men who thought they were safe. Because genealogy does not look for the suspects directly. It looks for relatives. Third cousins who did a DNA test 5 years ago out of curiosity. Great aunts who wanted to build a family tree. Distant relatives the suspects may not even know exist. The FBI uploads the unknown DNA profile to public databases like GED Match, where users have opted into law enforcement searches. The system searches for anyone who shares genetic markers. Partial matches indicating common ancestry. When matches are found, forensic genealogists build family trees, backward to identify the common ancestor, then forward through every descendant line, every marriage, every child, every generation. They eliminate females if the suspects are male. They eliminate people who were not in Arizona on February 1st. They eliminate anyone who does not match physical descriptions from surveillance footage. The tree narrows, branch by branch, generation by generation, until it points to specific individuals who fit every parameter. This is how Joseph James DeAngelo was identified, the Golden State Killer. More than a decade of crimes across California in the 70s and 80s. Never caught, never in CODIS. But a distant relative did a consumer DNA test. That partial match built a tree. The tree produced a suspect. Discarded DNA from his trash confirmed the match. After 4 decades of anonymity, identified through genealogy in a matter of weeks. The technology has advanced massively since 2018. Databases are larger. Algorithms are faster. The FBI has specialized units dedicated entirely to this work. What took months in the DeAngelo case takes days in 2026. And in the Nancy Guthrie investigation, genealogy is running right now for both DNA profiles. 2 separate searches, 2 family trees being built simultaneously through public databases. If both profiles point toward the same extended family, the tree narrows exponentially faster. 2 data points converging on the same ancestry. If they point to different families, investigators have 2 independent routes, 2 separate pathways to identification. Double the probability that at least one search produces results quickly. 2 men who thought wearing masks was enough. 2 men who left DNA that will expose them through relatives they may have never met. 2 men whose family trees are being built right now by FBI genealogists who have never failed when the profile is viable. But genealogy is not the only threat closing in on them. While those family trees are being constructed, something else is happening that could identify both suspects even faster. Walmart. The masked suspect visible in doorbell camera footage was wearing a specific backpack, 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack. The FBI identified this exact model, and here is why that matters more than anything. That backpack is sold exclusively at Walmart, not online through other vendors, not in specialty outdoor stores, not anywhere else. Only Walmart. Walmart has provided investigators with records of every purchase of that specific backpack made over the past 60 days. Every transaction, every store location in Arizona and neighboring states, every method of payment. Sheriff Chris Nanos called this backpack one of the most promising leads in the entire investigation. Every purchase creates a traceable record. Date, time, store location, payment method. And here is the beautiful part. Here is what those 2 men did not think about when they walked into Walmart to buy equipment for their crime. Every Walmart checkout lane has security cameras. Every entrance has cameras. Every parking lot has cameras with license plate capture capability. Maybe they paid cash. Maybe they thought paying cash meant no trace. But the face that carried that backpack to the register is on footage. The vehicle they drove is on footage. The license plate is on footage. Online purchases are even easier. IP addresses logged, delivery addresses logged, customer account information creating detailed profiles of exactly who bought what and when. Investigators have spent days reviewing Walmart surveillance footage at Tucson area locations. This is not casual browsing. This is systematic cross-referencing. Purchase records against in-store camera footage, transaction timestamps against parking lot surveillance, payment methods against customer databases. The goal: identify the specific transaction that put that backpack into the hands of one of the men who appeared at Nancy's door on February 1st. And the backpack is not the only item being traced. The gun holster visible in footage. Cheap. Approximately $10. Also available at Walmart. Sheriff Nanos confirmed that holster has unique characteristics. The combination of that specific low-quality holster with what appears to be a Walther semi-automatic handgun is unusual. Rare enough to be memorable to anyone who sold it. If both suspects shopped at Walmart, if both purchased items visible in footage, if those purchases occurred at the same store or within a narrow time window, that creates connections, associations between two individuals that can be traced through retail records even before DNA genealogy produces names. They thought shopping at Walmart was anonymous, just another customer in a big store. They forgot that in 2026, nothing is anonymous when cameras are everywhere and transaction records never delete. But investigators are not relying only on Walmart. They are canvassing gun shops across Tucson, and they are not asking random questions. They are showing specific names and photographs. One gun shop owner told NBC News that FBI agents brought a list 3 to 4 pages long, 18 to 24 names with photos, young to middle-aged men. The FBI asked, "Have you seen any of these people? Did any of them purchase firearms? Do you recognize anyone from the doorbell footage?" 18 to 24 specific names. That is not random investigation. That is focused analysis. 40 to 50,000 tips have been received. The FBI's National Threat Operations Center has fielded more than 18,000 tips alone. From that massive volume, investigators filtered, analyzed, cross-referenced, and narrowed to a specific list. 18 to 24 names means the forensic evidence, the surveillance review, the tip correlation. All of it has already produced a focused suspect pool. And if two individuals are involved, as DNA now proves, some of those names might be connected to each other. Known associates, people who have worked together, individuals with documented relationships that investigators can trace. The net is tightening from multiple directions, simultaneously. There is something else, something Sheriff Nanos mentioned that has not received enough attention. Enhanced imagery from doorbell footage may show the suspect wearing a ring visible on his hand during those 41 minutes. Nanos was careful. He said, "I look at the same photo you look at and I see it. I'm going to give that to my team. They'll analyze it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't." But he mentioned it publicly. That means investigators are taking it seriously. A ring is personal, distinctive, often worn daily. Something people who know you would recognize. If one of these men was wearing a ring during the commission of this crime, if someone who knows him sees enhanced footage and recognizes that ring, that is actionable intelligence that could identify him before genealogy even finishes. Now step back. Look at what investigators have working simultaneously. 2 DNA profiles being processed through genealogy databases right now. Walmart purchase records for an exclusive backpack with security footage showing every buyer's face and vehicle. Gun shop canvassing with 18 to 24 specific names. Enhanced imagery possibly showing a distinctive ring. Cell tower data from the early morning hours of February 1st. Traffic cameras along routes between Nancy's home and locations where evidence was found. All of these investigative threads running in parallel. All of them building toward the same destination. Identification of 2 individuals who spent 41 minutes at Nancy Guthrie's residence and left evidence that cannot be hidden, cannot be explained away, cannot be denied once connections are made. And here is what makes those 41 minutes even more devastating when you understand there were 2 people. Nancy's medications, her essential prescription medications, heart medications, blood pressure pills, medications an 84-year-old woman with a pacemaker cannot survive without. They were in the residence, visible, accessible. Sheriff Nanos confirmed they were not taken. 41 minutes. 2 people searching. Two people who would have encountered those medications during any thorough operation, and they deliberately left them behind. That was not an oversight. That was not one person in a panic missing something obvious. That was a decision made by two individuals who had 41 minutes and chose not to take medications that would keep Nancy alive. Think about what that decision means. If this were kidnapping for ransom, keeping the victim alive is essential. Dead victims cannot be released, cannot prove continued captivity, cannot be exchanged for payment. But those medications stayed on the counter while Nancy was taken. Two people saw them. Two people understood what they were. Two people made the choice to leave them. That decision eliminates scenarios requiring Nancy's survival. That decision reveals intention as clearly as a written confession. Keep Nancy alive was not the priority. The medications were irrelevant because long-term survival was not part of the plan. And that is why Sheriff Chris Nanos deployed his homicide unit on day one. He said publicly, and I quote, "Rarely does law enforcement ever call out homicide in missing person cases, but this one came across with some information that was concerning to me. There is something that is not right here." The 41-minute timeline told him it was planned. The medications left behind told him survival was not the goal. The disabled cameras told him they knew the security system. And when DNA came back showing two different males, he knew this was coordination, teamwork, two people executing something they had prepared for. On February 16th, Sheriff Nanos made the most definitive statement about Nancy's family. To be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in this case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious, and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. The family has been cleared, completely, officially, thoroughly investigated and eliminated. The focus is now entirely on identifying the two unknown males whose DNA was left at locations connected to Nancy's disappearance. And there is reason, cautious reason, for hope. According to an inside source, there is a widespread belief among investigators that Nancy could still be alive. That assessment is based on evidence and behavioral analysis that has not been made public. If the suspects are individuals who panicked, who got in over their heads, who have spent 19 days trying to figure out what to do, there may still be an opportunity for resolution that does not end in tragedy. Savannah Guthrie posted a video on February 15th. She looked exhausted, the kind of exhaustion that comes from 19 days of not knowing, 19 days of hoping while confronting evidence, 19 days of maintaining professional composure on national television while privately living through devastation. She spoke directly to whoever has her mother. We still have hope and we still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. You're not lost or alone, and it is never too late to do the right thing. That message, if the suspects are monitoring coverage, is aimed at creating an opening, a pathway to choose differently going forward, even if those 41 minutes cannot be undone. But while Savannah pleads for mercy, while she appeals to whatever humanity might exist in the men who took her mother, the science does not care about pleas. The science does not negotiate. The science is closing in. Two DNA profiles with no legitimate explanation for being at locations connected to Nancy's disappearance, both now being processed through genealogy databases that have never failed when the profile is viable. Walmart purchase records creating traceable connections between retail transactions and security footage showing faces, vehicles, license plates. Gun shop canvassing with 18 to 24 specific names suggesting the suspect pool has already been significantly narrowed. A ring possibly visible in enhanced footage. Personal, distinctive, potentially recognizable. All of these threads converging. President Trump addressed the case directly. He stated that if Nancy is found deceased, those responsible would face the most severe federal consequences. When asked if he meant the death penalty, Trump answered, "The most." Yeah, that's true. Federal attention has elevated this case to the highest levels of prosecutorial commitment. But it is not threats that will solve this. It is not political pressure. It is evidence. Two men wore masks thinking that was enough. Two men disabled cameras thinking they avoided documentation. Two men wore gloves thinking they left no fingerprints. Two men forgot that biology does not respect precautions. DNA transfers through contact, through sweat, through the simple act of existing in a space for 41 minutes. And two people leave twice the evidence. They thought no criminal record meant they were safe. They did not understand that genealogy does not need criminal records. Genealogy needs only DNA, and somewhere in public databases are relatives. distant cousins who did 23andMe to learn about their ancestry, family members who have no idea their genetic information is building a tree that leads to two men who thought they were untouchable. Here is where everything stands as of February 19, 2026. Two unknown male DNA profiles, confirmed, neither in CODIS, both being processed through genealogy right now. Walmart has provided complete purchase records for the exclusive backpack. Security footage from stores being cross-referenced against transaction data. FBI showing gun shops 18 to 24 specific names. Enhanced images possibly showing a ring. The Guthrie family officially cleared. 400 investigators assigned. 40 to 50,000 tips received. And 19 days after Nancy Guthrie disappeared, after 41 minutes during which two men operated at her residence. The science is getting closer by the hour. Not days, not weeks. Hours. Because genealogy in 2026 works fast. Because Walmart security footage is being reviewed right now. Because that list of 18 to 24 names represents focused investigation that has already narrowed the pool significantly. Two men thought they planned carefully. Two men thought 41 minutes was enough time to execute their plan without leaving evidence. Two men thought masks and gloves and disabled cameras meant they were safe. They were wrong about all of it. Because they left DNA in a glove discarded in the desert. Because they left DNA inside Nancy's home. Because they bought equipment at Walmart that creates traceable records. Because they possibly wore distinctive rings. Because they forgot that in 2026, nothing is anonymous when forensic science and retail surveillance and genealogy databases all converge on the same target. CODIS did not have their names. That is true. But somewhere in family trees being built from public genealogy databases right now are connections. Genetic markers linking them to relatives who submitted DNA innocently. Somewhere in Walmart's transaction systems are records showing when equipment was purchased and cameras showing WHO purchased it. Somewhere in that list of 18 to 24 names investigators are showing to gun shops are the identities being built through evidence correlation. It is not if anymore. It is when. And for an 84-year-old woman who has been without her cardiac medications for 19 days, when is everything? This investigation has been presented with complete respect for Nancy Guthrie and her family. Every analysis here is grounded in official law enforcement statements and verified reporting from national news organizations. If this investigation moved you, if you want justice for Nancy, if you believe these two men will be identified and will be held accountable, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We are tracking this case until Nancy comes home and those responsible are named. Because here we do not speculate, we examine what documented evidence shows. And the evidence shows that 41 minutes was not one person. It was two. Two DNA profiles means two pathways to identification. Two chances for genealogy to produce results. Two individuals who left evidence together and will be identified together and will face justice together. Nancy deserves to come home. Her family deserves answers. The evidence deserves to produce accountability. The investigation continues, and the science is closing in.
Right now!